I was feeling pessimistic going into that second half, but the Portland Timbers were able to hold on to a clean sheet against San Diego FC, and that is now consecutive weeks against the top seed in each respective conference. The Timbers have outplayed a better team in the standings in the second half. Last week, it was presumably so against Cincinnati, trailing 3-1 at halftime. But in this one, the Timbers completely flipped the switch, and I've been trying to figure out some reasons why. Here's what I came up with. The Timbers didn't allow San Diego to play through the middle in the second half like they did with so much success in the first. Also, Portland stopped trying to play the San Diego style and started to play more of the Timbers transition long ball over the top style, and that was able to pin back the San Diego back line. And also, in a more simplistic sense, the three new signings who all started, I was happy to see that. Phil Neville is throwing them right into the deep end, just as you or I would if we were Timbers head coach. But it was a bit of a clunky start for them, and when Anthony, Ari Lassiter, and some other subs came on in the second half, it looked better.
I thought it was going to be, a little bit clunky, and first half was very clunky. I thought we were a little bit nervous on the ball. They pressed us on any back pass, and I thought it made us a little bit nervous. And what we said at half-time was this was a game where we had to be really brave, and second half we were, and I thought we probably created the better chances in the game, and I felt that the top end of the pitch, our top end of the pitch players should have probably won us the game. But I'm pleased with the clean sheet. I was pleased with the performance of the team from a defensive point of view, and in the second half I thought we showed more courage, and I think that's only going to get better with the more time we have with the new players.
On my phone here, I've looked up some synonyms for great, and you tell me what works best for you when talking about Finn Surman. Amazing, awesome, cool, excellent, fabulous, fantastic, terrific. Any of those do it for you? Maybe all of the above? Because Finn Surman, week after week, somebody said, I don't know if it was in my Twitter replies or Blue Sky, he is probably the best Timbers center back that we've seen with the eye test going back to the Nat Borchers and Liam Ridgewell days. His speed and size combination can make him viable out wide against any winger and makes him physical and strong enough against any center forward. He had a 3-minute stretch in probably the three most important minutes of the game where Surman had a great sliding challenge on Pellegrino in the 87th, outpaced Pellegrino again, and Pellegrino had fresh legs in the 88th minute, and then at the top of the box, Anders Dreyer has a good shot at net there, and Finn Surman positionally disciplined to get the block, not to mention the young player getting the captain's armband today.
It was pretty special, for lack of better words. I think it's something that fills me with a great deal of pride and honor, and I know what I'm representing when I wear that armband, and there's a whole club behind me, and that fills me with immense pride, and it's something that's very special to me. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and it's something that I'm pretty happy with. I'm pretty proud.
I didn't think the new signings were bad, but there was just understandably a lack of chemistry there. I think Velde was probably the most noticeable of the three, but sometimes in that first half when he had the ball on the left wing, there wasn't much support there. Mati Rojas had a moment where, he was taking an extra touch on the ball. He didn't look too confident on it, and this was his first time playing over 45 minutes, going all the way back to the 2024 MLS season with Inter Miami. Along with Carbajo, Ashala was the more noticeable of the two midfielders, but against Minnesota, I expect Carbajo to put up a much louder performance next week when Minnesota is sitting in a low block and the Timbers are able to express themselves more on the ball.
We've only had a week or so on the pitch together, and it definitely takes time to learn players' habits. He needs to take time to adjust to our whole team, and I'm trying to learn what his kind of movements are and where he likes the ball. So it definitely takes a bit of time, and potentially that showed a little bit today, but it's something that quality players like him that we bring in, I think they adapt fast, and we'll be able to create that connection pretty quickly.
And regarding the signings, I asked Phil Neville about David Acosta, how he has to play differently with three new players all within his vicinity. And he almost used that question as an ability to talk about how David Acosta has to raise his level. I talked about it on the Timber Review podcast last week against his alarming lack of touches, and he had 0 shots total against Cincinnati. Anthony completely blew him out of the water in a performance against Cincinnati. He had moments in this game that were frustrating. In the 8th minute, of course, it's hard because when you pick the ball out from the press, San Diego is going to swallow you up if you take an extra touch or two. And when David Acosta got at the top of the box, I would have done the same. He takes the shot immediately in the 8th minute, but if you look to his left and squared the ball, Christopher Velde was there. And it was on his favorite right foot to probably curl it into the side netting. What a start that would have been for the Timbers. And then in the 68th minute, Antony makes a nice run, plays it right into the path of David da Costa, who, I will give him this, he works off the ball. He tries to make the runs, but when he did get the ball, he wasn't able to get past this man with a 1-2 or even dribbling it. But in that 68th minute, David da Costa passed when he probably should have shot. Some people are making the argument that Felipe Mora is making the run there, but even if Mora continues his run, I feel like CJ Dos Santos, the San Diego goalkeeper, is able to close down that angle in time, but maybe best case scenario, Mora could get a penalty. But here's the Phil Neville quote talking about David da Costa's performance and his need to raise his levels.
No, he has to deliver. He has to deliver. That's what I thought, is that we've now got 4 places for 5 places. 4 places for 5 players, and he has to deliver. And I'd say that, you know, from that you invest in that end of the pitch for them players to deliver. And so his positions, his you know, the areas he's picking the ball up in are no different. He's just got more quality around him. So he's got to perform better. So his level of performance now should be a lot better. And I thought the team grew into the game. First half I was not pleased with, but second half I thought we did well.
I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a good problem to have, but the Timbers do have a lot of questions going into the final 7 games of the season. Who's the starting goalkeeper? Sort of ironic to play Minnesota next week, as Dane St. Clair took that number 1 shirt from Max Crepeau, and I would imagine James Pantemis has temporarily taken the number 1 shirt from Max Crepeau, though he only had to make 1 save on a shot on goal this match. He had several nice punch-outs, and I just think he's a bit more commanding off his line than Crepeau was. He had a nice ball over the top to Velde in half number 1, where if Velde isn't offside, it would have been the pass of the game or the pass of the season from a goalkeeper. We, of course, have the striker conversation. I don't think Kevin Kelsey was particularly good today, but nobody really was on the Timbers in the first half. I would probably expect Felipe Mora to get the start against Minnesota next week. And, of course, you have the conversation between Mateo Rojas and Antony. I would vote Antony. I thought he was bright when he came into the game, and even if he gets the ball dispossessed, he always has that sort of A to B mindset. I'm here right now. I need to get on the edge of the 18 or into the box. And Mateo Rojas, look, we have 60 minutes to decipher of his performance so far, but it is such a small sample size for Mateo Rojas and Felipe Carbajo to make their mark. This is an unprecedented circumstance where they're essentially trying out to be on the Timbers in 2026, and Carbajo has to play to a DP standard because GM Neda Grabovoy said if he's on the team in 2026, he will be under the DP tag. So it's essentially, do you want option A, Jonathan Rodriguez? Do you want option B, Felipe Carbajo? Or do you want option C, neither, and bring in another DP in the window? Those are the questions that need to be answered in the final 7 games of the regular season and into the postseason. I'll talk a lot more about this game against San Diego FC on the Timber Review podcast on Tuesday morning and the Bonus podcast for Patreon subscribers on Wednesday. Final scoreline, the 3rd scoreless draw of the campaign. Doing a good job holding the best attack in the Western Conference to a donut.